Yeah, you have to push that
Yeah, I
we're
got it.
being recorded. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. My guest today is Molly Basler. Please welcome her to the show. It's very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. I'm excited. Thank
Well, I
you.
can't wait. So, everybody has a story, and everybody that's vegan has a vegan story, and I would love to hear yours.
Okay, thank you. So I wasn't, obviously well, not obviously, but I was born and raised to carnivores. So we had fresh beef. My dad, actually, we had our own cows, not on our property, but out in Chatsworth. I was raised in Woodland Hills, born in downtown LA, raised in Woodland Hills. So we were raised on meat and dairy and greasy foods and McDonald's, all of it, right? And so I went through life like that until I had an awakening, and I'm so grateful that I had that awakening, that was, and I believe it's the evolution of my being, my human beingness, and I believe we all are on that trajectory, and some of us get it sooner than others. So through my journeys, I was an actress and a model, and then I went back to school, and I just got a little tired of the Hollywood scene, so to speak, and the path it was leading me down. So I got sort of away from that. Then I went complete polar opposite. I started to teach fitness and workout, which led me to meet a yoga guru, Siri Satnam. I started to study yoga and meditation. And I really felt drawn to that. And I thought, I want to teach this. I got to teach this and bring this to people, because I do believe meditation is one of the key components of our awakenings. And so I was teaching. I started this program called Inside Out because I felt it started in the inside. And I stopped at this cardiovascular facility. So they were treating people with heart issues. And I said, I want to start a program in here teaching all you people meditation and yoga. And the gentleman said, well, I want you to watch this video, because then we started talking about diet. And I at that point I didn't know anything about diet. I was just focused on meditation and the physical form, bringing yoga and workout combined. So he said, I want you to watch this video. It was called Eating. And it was made by a doctor. It was very raw footage of how, and I went home and I watched it. And that was my turning point. It showed how much better the plant-based diet is for your health. And then it showed the animals. And I was done. I was done. I became a vegan that day, never looked back. Now I did the last thing and I think it's difficult for a lot of us, was cheese. I would cheat a little bit at parties because they always have cheese platters and all that. Now I don't at all. But that was my last piece of food that was really difficult for me to give up. And then I became an activist for the animals. I joined PETA. I was marching. My first march was at McDonald's. I just started lifting my voice for the animals. And I went vegan, promoting that, teaching yoga, meditation. It went into vegan cooking. I wrote a promo cookbook called the Yogini Vegan Chef, Yogini Linguini Vegan Chef. It was for beginners. It's a promo book. I still have a few copies. If you're interested, you can go to my website. So I was teaching vegan cooking. I got a lot of my yoga clients to go vegan. Then I bottled the lemonade, this Yogini luscious ginger clove luscious lemonade, selling that all over, promoting the vegan diet, yoga, meditation. I was cooking. I was hired. Actually, one of the women watching the show, Kara, who's a big fan of yours, Chef AJ, and who actually introduced me to you. She would help me. We would create vegan Shabbat dinners at this temple over here on Pico. So it was just, I was on this roll. Then I started realizing that, oh my God, our planet is dying. I'm getting people healthy. But what about our planet? Due to meat and dairy, fossil fuel, too much methane, too much carbon in our atmosphere. So, I was on this trajectory. Was a period of about 7 years, or actually 10 years. And then Trump got elected. So then began my political drive. And I had a client who was one of the clients that went vegan, who then became, Ted Cohen. He has passed because of old age, not because of any ailment, but he just became such a advocate for the vegan diet, which that was so great, getting people to go vegan, and then they in turn helped others go vegan. So it is one person at a time. And then, so he also said, Molly, you should run for office. And I thought, well, it would give me a bigger platform. And I would run a vegan campaign. So I got very involved in the Democratic Party. I actually created the Green Dream campaign, asking the Democrats to become green and actually uphold what they spoke about in their platform, their California Democratic platform. I launched this big thing. Senators were there, congressmen. It was very exciting. And it was vegan. Vegan, plastic-free, first Democratic event ever. And it was a big success. And we actually got vegan in the platform, asking for more vegan options. And then I was always bringing vegan options to all the Democratic events and getting the politicals to taste it. And then I jumped in, I ran for LA City Council, running a vegan campaign. I had an animal welfare platform. People, Planet, and Animals is my platform. And that didn't work out. But it was, as Paul Watson from the Sea Shepherd, I talked to him, and he ran for mayor once, and he didn't make it in, but he said, Molly, remember, it's not about whether we win or lose. It's about getting the message out about veganism, about animal welfare, about people, planet, and animals, because our planet is dying due to corporate greed, and meat and dairy industries is one of them. And if we all did go vegan, or even once a week or twice a week, it would help our planet enormously. And we are at a trajectory of really a dismal future unless we change. So I'm here. Oh, and then I forgot to say, in 2016, as I was getting involved, I heard Al Gore talk. He was screening his film, Inconvenient Truth, Part 2. And I went to see him talk. I actually brought him. I had a vegan cookbook in my arms to give him. I was all excited. And of course, I didn't get a chance to talk to him. He was, surrounded by bodyguards, and he was brought in and brought out. But he is a vegan, and all his events are vegan. So he trains people to be climate reality leaders from the Climate Reality Project. So I flew to Pittsburgh in 2017 as part of my whole trajectory into political arena to study climate change with Al Gore. And it was so amazing. It was an intense weekend. And then we become climate leaders, and we become soldiers for Gore, and we go out and we give these presentations, which I'm going to give one today. And it's just to educate, even though a lot, I'm sure, of you on this call know about climate, it's actually global warming that creates climate change. So about the global warming and all the things that are happening. But it's always good to get reminded and actually see from the PowerPoint of what is going on. So I became a climate leader, came back, and ran for office. That didn't work out, but it was good. I got my message out. I'm asking the other candidates to go green and be regenerative, and have animal welfare platforms, and at least to have some of their events vegan and no plastic. And so that's where I'm at now. I'm figuring out what my next step is. I may run for Senate, California Senate, in a couple of years, once again, as a vegan and green regenerative campaign. That means all my events vegan, plastic free. And I don't shove it down anybody's throat. I just lead by example. It's, not, as I say, it's not the speeches we make, but the actions we take. And I really believe we need leaders who are doing that, walking the walk, not just talking the talk. We have too much talk. As Kung Fu Panda says, chit chat, chit chat.
I like that. It's not the speeches we make, it's the actions we take. I love that.
So that's where I am now, and I'm still cooking. I'm actually going to do a vegan demo May 21st at a sustainable fair. Getting the message out, always, always people, planet, animals. Wherever I can bring the message, I do. And to make the world a better place for the greater good of all. And we all share this planet. And as Al Gore says, there is no planet B.
Yeah, absolutely.
And and I have some great recipes. Maybe next time I'll come on, if I don't know if you have reoccurring guests, but I'll do some of my recipes, cook a recipe. But today I'm going to do
That's great. What kind of, you don't have to, yes, guests are always welcome back. It just, usually there's about a 4 to 6 month wait when I'm booking.
I know.
What kind of recipes do you enjoy making, and what do you like to eat on a daily basis?
You know, I love, like what I'm going to make at this sustainable fair are my mini pizzas. You know, English muffin, and then all these really great different vegan cheeses. Some I even put a little hummus on, which gives it a really amazing flavor. And I add mushrooms and olives. And what I love to eat, though, I love black beans, rice, and I love to put it on a bed of spinach, organic spinach. I can eat very simply. I love vegan burritos because when I'm busy and on the go, I'm by myself, I will just make really simple things. And I have a really great one called Pass the Peas, Please. And it's just organic peas. And you can go Gardein. They have the little crab cakes, and I grill them in olive oil. And then I take the mound of peas and I put the little crab cakes on them, and then I draw up, I guess that's the word, vegan mayo and a little tad of salsa on each crab cake. So good. The flavors are amazing. So that is one of my favorites, and that's one of my newest ones. I make a killer mac and cheese. You know, I add tofurkey sausage to some and big crimini mushrooms. My hail kale salad with lentils and avocado and cucumbers. So but the ones that I've been making right now are the burritos, and that's just with black beans, organic, brown rice in a big vegan burrito, some Beyond Meat. I take their little meatballs, and because it has a spice that I really love. So I grill those, and then I crumble them, put them in the burrito with organic spinach with a little olive oil and balsamic mixed, and that the balsamic really explodes flavor. And then I'll add tomato and avocado and some salsa, and then I just wrap it up, and then you have a whole meal, and it's really good for you, especially the black beans, high protein, so is the spinach. We get everything we need in a vegan diet, and and my dogs are vegan.
Nice.
I have 3 rescue dogs, a German Shepherd, a 3-legged pit bull, and a little rat terrier. And we're all really healthy and strong. And I take yoga and I run, and I'm never lacking of energy. You know, people will say that, and I think that's sometimes just an excuse, but so we need to move into a vegan world. We need to get rid of the factory farming, and all of the destruction of the planet is due to corporate greed. The meat and dairy has a really strong lobby in Washington, D.C., and that is part of the problem where we can't move forward. And obviously fossil fuel. We don't have, and then we don't have the political will. We have all these weaklings in office. Nobody's standing up to corporate greed except Bernie Sanders. And we just need more people running. That's why I always say to my vegan friends, activists, we need vegans running for office. I mean, Eric Adams, have you had him on yet?
Yeah, a couple of times. Yeah, before he became mayor. It was great.
Wow, good. Yeah, so I would love, that's what I think as political leaders, getting political leaders who aren't the norm, right? Vegans who are conscious, doing things differently, is really going to change the way we do things. But it's tough. Like people, I was running and people really didn't care. I mean, oh, my campaign's green and regenerative and I'm vegan. They all went after the status quo candidate. Who was raising the most money. Now I raised okay, but I was grassroots, so it was more difficult for me. But, I got my message out as best I could, and I will try again, but it's all about walking the walk and getting the message out.
Great. So you want to share screen?
Okay,
We
drum roll.
practice this. We practice this. We practice
Okay,
it twice.
click on the PowerPoint. Then screen share. It's there.
It'll come. You said there might be a little bit of a delay when we practiced. While she's getting her slides up, I'll tell you guys who's on the show tomorrow. We have Nava Atlas, and she has a new book called Vegetariana. This is actually an updated and revised version because when she published it many, many years ago, it was vegetarian and not vegan. So she updated it. And it's got a really, really cool look to it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of retro. Anyway, she'll be on tomorrow at 11 a.m.
There it goes. Do you see it?
Not yet.
Okie dokie.
Just me. Come
It's
on.
there. I see it. So let me share. Okay. Sorry, people out there. Do you see it now?
Not yet. The invisible PowerPoint. We probably should have started with the slides up just for good luck.
Do you see it now?
Nope. Yep, see it now.
Okay, good. Thank God. Sorry.
That's okay.
Now you don't see it.
I do see it, but it's I see your whole desktop. So you got to have it like in presentation mode.
Yep, I got it. It's not, I'm sorry.
There it is.
Wait, I just have to line up the there we go. Okay. Okay. So as you see, it says the Climate Reality Project, Molly Basler, Climate Reality Leader, LA chapter. LA chapter is one of the biggest chapters in Los Angeles, actually in the whole world. Al Gore, there's thousands and thousands of climate reality leaders that Mr. Gore has trained. And so the first slide is, that's our planet. And it's good for us to look at that to see and know where we live and that we honor this beautiful, this is called the blue marble. And this was one of the first photographs taken of our planet from the Apollo station. And it's just gorgeous. And once this came out, the environmental movement was born, actually. And this is our atmosphere. Now, when I didn't know any of this. Like I never knew, and I don't know, maybe you guys do, but before I took this, I didn't know there was this ceiling. And you can actually, if you drove a car, I think at like 50 miles per hour, you'd get to the top of the ceiling in 10 minutes, okay? So that's where all our carbon, our methane, all the gases are being trapped, creating heat. Okay, we are dumping 110 million tons of man-made warming pollution into the atmosphere every day. And it's probably more because some of these slides I have not updated as, because I haven't been giving as many presentations. But it's all the same. It's actually just gotten worse. So it shows here our radiation, right? The sun, streams down and then it's supposed to release heat, but it goes up and it gets trapped in that the atmosphere. And this is a great slide. I love this, right? It's showing the biggest sources of greenhouse gases. Okay. So you have, of course, you have industrial agriculture, crop burning, coal, thawing, permafrost, coal mining. But the two biggest culprits of the global warming, the greenhouse gases, are industrial agriculture and coal plants, fossil fuel. And also, FYI, plastic is fossil fuel. So, and the number one largest source of global warming is the burning of fossil fuel. Some of these I'm just going to go through because fast, because it's, you know, a lot of this we, like I said, we already know. And this is just a reminder that we need to step back from meat and dairy, moving into vegan diet, and getting off fossil fuel. And if you can, get an electric vehicle, solar on your house. So as we know, the global surface temperature is rising. In Siberia last summer, it was 90 degrees. And I don't know if you know this, but in India and Pakistan, they are having the worst heat wave ever. It is 114-degree heat, and all their crops are being burned. So with that, then you don't have food production. Right? And that's what's going to start happening. So it can get really overwhelming, but the beautiful thing is it is possible for us if we come together to change these things. So this is just the climate crisis, the climate collapse is a medical emergency. Global ocean heat content is rising, which is not good. That's, you know, creates the melting of the ice, and which creates flooding. We're losing land. And New York is going to be one of the first cities, and Miami, from in our country, to go underwater. And that could be within the next 5 years. And these are just showing, you know, as we know, the hurricanes are getting worse. I mean, look at the ones we had in Puerto Rico and Katrina, and all of those are from global warming. Our poor Earth, our poor planet is just crying out to us. The hydrological cycle, we know, we learned this as kids, right? Evaporation, precipitation, but it's, like I said, it's always good to see and be reminded. And that we don't get new water. I mean, water just gets recycled. So once it gets evaporated, it's gone. And especially when it's not raining. These are called storm bombs, and these are happening all throughout too. So a huge cloud gathers and water just pours out, and then the earth is so parched it can't absorb it.
Let's get started. Drive safely.
Thusly, the flooding. So this is the same thing. The extra heat that evaporates more water, causing bigger downpours. Pulls moisture even more quickly from the soil, causing longer and deeper droughts. In California, we are in the worst drought since 1200 years ago. I mean, it's really scary. Worldwide extreme weather catastrophes. This is from the insurance point of view. Now, this is from a few years ago. It's gotten worse. So the red is fires, as we know, the Paradise Fire, wildfires. There's a huge fire burning New Mexico. I mean, these are warnings, and we're not taking it very seriously, and we need to. And then the blue is the floods, and then the yellow are storms. Unnamed glacier in Southwest Greenland. At one point, it was a glacier. Now all our glaciers are melting. The declining ice masses in Greenland and the Arctic. This is Miami Beach, and this is like a high tide. This is what's happening in normal every day. It just floods, and the mayor. We know it's a red state, right? They're not doing anything. They're even, you know, they're climate deniers. So top 10 cities at risk for sea level rise is Miami, New York. This other one I can hardly pronounce, Guangzhou. Some of these are obviously in the east, so but still, what happens in the world happens to all of us, because even though it might be across the world, we are a global economy now. We are global. And so we have to take care of each other. What happens here happens out there. 10 cities, sea level rise. This one is U.S. Department of Defense, climate change adaptation roadmap. Climate change will likely lead to food and water shortages, pandemic disease, disputes over refugees, and natural disasters in regions across the globe. Drought, which we are experiencing. There is under recognition of just how sensitive crops are to heat. That is showing right here now in India and Pakistan. All their wheat crops have been destroyed. And what happens when we don't have food? Climate change is a medical emergency, and tropical diseases are on the move. I think even the pandemic, and Al Gore has been talking about these things for years and years and years, right? So we know what we know, and we still don't change. So we really have to. We now are at risk losing up to 50%. I believe that is now up to 60%, all of land-based species in this century. They are dying out, and we are a species. I think we forget that. I mean, I never thought about it like that before I got involved. Like, we are a species of animal in line to go extinct. So we better pay attention. Now, this is great, the cost of carbon. Political instability, which we've seen. Floods and mudslides, wildfires, drought, storm damage, ocean acidification, infrastructure loss, climate refugees. So what's a climate refugee? It's people when their islands or their lands and everything. And now we even have fire refugees. I mean, paradise people, the people in paradise, some of them still are homeless and have nowhere to go. So climate refugees, like in Syria, that was a drought. And that was one of the reasons for that, and still is, that catastrophic war over there. People on the move, famine, water scarcity, ecosystem loss, our way of life, infectious diseases, sea level rise. And it is the #1 threat to the global economy, because when these happen, once again, these are things we don't think about. Who pays for it? Insurance companies, but then they run out. So it's really, really important that we change the way. So great question. So must we change? Yes. Can we change? Yes. We have the solutions at hand. That's the beauty of it. We just have to get into action. So we have green energy progress. How do projections compare with world reality? Well, we have, by 2016, we've even overgone that, right, with green energy. I mean, we actually used more solar and wind energy than ever before to heat and cool our areas, but it's still not enough. But it is movement there. And now we need more vegans. That's the key also. Global wind energy, same thing. It's growing. It's still not enough because we have the fossil fuel industry and the meat and dairy always pushing back. You know, we might take 2 steps forward and they push us back 5 steps. Global wind supply worldwide, consumer 4 times over. That's even more. I love wind energy. A lot of the Midwest places now are run on wind, the farms there, and they create green jobs. Like, who builds them? Who installs them? It's a great thing. Solar energy progress, same thing. But we are now fighting. I don't like the word fighting. We are, in fact, we're going to create a big climate march, and I will alert Chef AJ on that, and hopefully some of you will join me. We're going to march against PG&E and corporate greed. I'm trying to help organize that because the electrical companies, DWP, PG&E, they're pushing back on solar and trying to make it very expensive. And I mean, it's just unbelievable. These energy companies aren't coming together to make a better world. They're pushing back so consumers can't get solar and have to stay reliant on the fossil fuel. So we've got to march. We've got to lift our voices, vote in leaders who are climate warriors and vegans. That is key too. And run yourself. World solar PV installations, this is the same thing, much, much more, still not enough. Always, we need to get to a point where we're not even drilling anymore. We're not eating meat and dairy anymore, closing down the factory farms. The cost of the solar cells have gone way down. I mean, they were like $79.40 a watt. Now it's down to 0.41 a watt. And once again, this is probably even lower. And what the beauty about solar, like I love this slide because it shows in a place where they don't have an electrical grid, but they can get a solar panel and use a cell phone or a computer and start a little business in the middle of, outside of the city where people struggle and famine occurs. They can have something, they can have energy from the sun, the most powerful source of energy that was given to us. So this is just a fun slide. It shows the Chilean market. That is one of the places that has gone completely solar. I mean, they went off the chart, as you can see by this slide. So they're an example that it is possible. And once again, we have enough solar energy reaches Earth every day to fill all the world's energy needs. Okay, the sun, it is the source of all. So we need to tap into that. Auto manufacturers are moving to EVs more. I mean, of course, Tesla is one of the number ones. Toyota, they're all doing it. Ford just came out with an electric truck, which is fabulous, right? And then we have the hybrids. And then we need to get more EV stations also, which, some cities are really good. LA still is not. So we need to hold our leaders accountable. We as the taxpayers pay for it. Okay, so never underestimate the power that you have. Now we're getting into the diet. Okay, so because they've done studies on this. I can't find my little mouse. Okay, whatever. I'll just I can't. So there's 4 dietary scenarios. Okay. The projected for 2050, agricultural greenhouse gases, that's AG, right? GG emission profiles for 4 global dietary scenarios. Okay. So number 1 is the reference diet. 2 is the healthy global diet. 3 is the vegetarian, and 4 is the vegan. Okay. What are these dietary scenarios? So that's what they named them, the World Health Organization, right? So the reference diet is basically the diet most people are eating. Total global energy intake increases. So if you continue to eat that way, the total global energy intake increases by 13%. Okay, and it's probably more now. Fruits increase by 15%, sugars 15. So when you're taking in these, red meats increase by 13, poultry consumption increases by 63%, eggs and dairy increase by 20, other grains increase by 32%, wheat production and consumption are level. Rice consumption decreases by 5%. So that's our diet that most of us eat, okay? And then we go to the healthy global diet based on the World Health Organization global dietary guidelines for healthy eating. Consumption of enough calories to maintain healthy weight, minimum of 5 portions a day, fruits and veggies, maximum 300 grams red meat, less than 50 grams a day sugar, and total energy intake less than 2,300 calories, total emissions. And they'll explain these as we go. This is just explaining the diet, and then you'll see, because I know some of this stuff is a little gobbledygook with detail and it gets confusing, but it will show you how each of these diets are either good for the planet or bad for the planet, and how they're better for us. And when they're better for us, they're usually better for the planet, which is right. I think it's a beautiful, perfect design. So vegetarian diet, minimum 6 portions a day of fruits and veg, 1 portion of legumes, no red meat, poultry or fish, less than 50 grams a day of sugar, total energy less than 23 calories a day. So now we're getting down, and then we go to the vegan. The minimum is 7 portions a day of fruits and veggies, 1 portion legumes, no red meat, poultry, fish, dairy, or eggs. This is doing away with all of that. Less than 50 grams a day of sugar, and total energy less than 2,300 calories. Okay, now they'll explain projected 2050 agriculture greenhouse gases emissions. So if you stick with the first diet, the emissions are projected to increase, and the emissions are, right, the carbon, the methane going up into that atmosphere, staying stuck, creating global warming, creating the climate collapse, okay? So if you stick with the normal diet, you're increasing the 51 total of greenhouse gases emissions by 2050. Dietary changes could decrease global emissions by 29. But if we change our diet, we could decrease global greenhouse gases emissions by 29 to 70%. Now, what are these dietary changes and how do they impact climate change? So by 2050, greenhouse gas emissions based on 4 dietary scenarios. So the reference diet, that first one, back few slides back, if you continue to eat that way, you increase 51% increase in greenhouse gas emissions, okay? The healthy global diet, 7% increase in greenhouse gas emissions. The vegetarian, even going vegetarian, you decrease 55% of greenhouse gas emissions. That's a lot, 55%. And then the vegan diet, 70%. We decrease in greenhouse gas emissions, largely due to reduction in red meat, poultry, dairy, and eggs. So it's just showing better for the planet, better for us, better for the animals. It's a win-win. There's no reason anymore to be eating the way we have been, and we just can't. The planet can't sustain it. You know, our planet was designed perfectly to sustain life, and we don't really have that anymore. It's going in a bad direction. So yes, we can change. Yes, 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 yes. Will we change? That's the big question. You know, we did the big Paris Agreement, right, in 2015. God, that seems like so long ago. I guess because the pandemic too, time has kind of warped, but nobody has met that, the Paris Agreement, which Al Gore was so excited about, and everybody came together, and then nobody did anything. So we need to march. We need to gather. We need to do things to reduce our carbon footprint, carpool, use public transportation, eliminate plastic drinks and straws. They end up in the ocean. And I didn't know this before I started studying the climate crisis. Plastic is fossil fuel. There was just an article today in the news, on my news app, about plastics. And now they're making these little balls of plastic that are ending up in the bellies of whales and in the bellies of humans. And what has happened, because fossil fuel, they know their days are numbered, because we just can't keep extracting and driving fossil fuel cars, is they've ramped up their plastic production. I mean, it's just insane. Like, these guys are hell bent on destroying us. And that's where we have to say no, no more. We've got to stand up to corporate greed. It's really imperative. I don't have kids, but if you have kids and grandkids, we got to all stand together. And the consumer has a lot of power, and the voter. So use your power. So eliminate plastic, and there's plenty of now substitutes. Stay off airplanes. I mean, I know if you have to travel, we have to, but eliminate red meat, chicken, all of it. Like, we just went through that whole dietary that will help the planet more. It's the vegan diet. Wash your clothes in cold water. Try not to wash so much. Skip trips to the store or ride your bike. It's so good. It's fun. You feel good. Get a basket. That's what I do. I go run my errands locally on my bike. Skip trips, eliminate, reduce your printing. Paper is carbon intensive. So I recycle everything, reduce, recycle, reuse. People think I'm nuts, but I'll write things on, I don't even like, I'll use an envelope to pay something, you know, if you have to, like 10 times till it's just raggedy. We have to get out of the vanity where we wanted everything nice and pretty and always looking new. We can't live that way any longer unless it's made from reusable products, ingredients. So eliminate your printing, reduce your use of natural gas. It's probably extracted by fracking, which is another whole hellacious thing that the oil and gas companies are doing. Choose a green career, get your kids to do, you know, guide them. I mean, I know you can't force anybody, but, you know, be an example, say things, scientists, engineers, educators, be an activist, earth scientist for glaciers, ocean scientists, engineer, green careers are going to be one of the number one places. And I believe also wellness and health all go together. Renewable energy scientist, solar energy consultant, home energy, wellness coach, habitat restoration, ecologic. And when I was running for office, my name was community wellness advocate. So join those who are using your voice, use your vote, use your choices, speak truth to power like your world depends on it, because it does. And there is our beautiful planet Earth. And so thank you so much for listening. And, you know, let's get into action and make changes. And it's not just for ourselves and our children, it's for each other. You know, other species, I'm going to get out of this, or we can keep this up, this planet. You know, other species, they'll go to a place, you know, and make a home, a habitat, right? Elephants, rhinos, whatever. And once they know, like, there is less water or their soil is not being renewed or regenerative, they stop populating. They will pull back on their population growth if their place where they're habitating is no longer, you know, can't sustain them. They even know on a real basic level. And we seem to be a species who's driven by more, bigger, better stuff, this. And I understand, I was raised that way. I was a consumer, oh my gosh. So I feel though, if I can do it, and I still love great clothes and I love this, but I buy also sustainably. I don't buy, you know, things that are made from slave labor. I always find the company, I try to support companies that are green and doing something good for the planet. And that is from the clothes to the shoes I wear to the products I buy. And I just always feel, me as Miss Consumer who didn't know anything about this stuff, if I can do it, we can all do it. It just takes us to get inspired. And I hope it doesn't take, you know, to the point where it's too late to change, because we're getting to that point. But we still have time. So that's the good news. That is the message of hope. So change the way you do things, and then help your neighbors do it, help your kids do it, help your friends do it. Like Chef AG has this wonderful show and teaching people to go vegan, and it's getting the message out there and inspiring people to change. And our leaders need to do that more. So do we take questions? I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I was muted while you were talking.
Okay.
And I forgot to unmute it. So yes, there is a question. What do we do about all these climate deniers?
Oh, well. Once again, we have to vote in leaders, which is hard now because now, I mean, we're so divided. But we need to have leaders like Eric Adams, who's now the mayor, who are talking about this constantly, and hopefully inspire the climate deniers. I mean, I know some of them are hell bent. Hey, I have brothers who are climate deniers. I feel like we're on Mars, they're from another planet, but some people are really hell-bent on stopping their evolution. And I think it's not even about climate deniers or this or that anymore. It's about the evolution of our species. Some of us want to evolve and change and move forward, and some are terrified or just aren't ready. But I will tell you something, there's more people, 70% of people are terrified, especially the younger population at this point, terrified of the climate collapse and are not deniers. So there are more people who are awake to the climate collapse and want to do something about it. So because there's more of us, we can outweigh the climate deniers. We just have to get louder, and we have to make bigger changes. And that is one way. And also and vote in leaders that are climate leaders. Vote in leaders that are climate leaders and leading on these things. And run yourself. That's what I did.
Nice. Kathy says, have you considered taking this presentation to high schools or colleges?
Oh yeah, we've been doing that. They're all over. We take them on. My first presentation that I ever gave was at my Mills College alum. And yes, we go all over. I've done presentations at LA Tech, Mills College. We do it at churches, synagogues, all over. But yes, this is the Al Gore presentation. So like I said in the beginning, I used to give it all over the place. And then when I was running for office and so forth, not as much, because I was just talking about it. But I'm going to start up again because I think it is true. I think it's good. And we need to educate our people on this.
Yeah. Denise says, I heard our old solar cells cannot be recycled and fill landfills. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, that is, well, our recycling system is a mess here in LA, at least. I don't know where everybody is watching from, but one of the things I wanted to do as a public official was I wanted to make sure our recycling centers were actually recycling. So it's not just the solar batteries that are ending up in landfill, all the things that people, we call it a wish list for people who are, trying to do good for the planet. They wish that their plastic bottles went into recycling, but the fact is they're not. We used to sell all our recycling to China. And this should be on the front page of the LA Times, all over, so people know. When you put your things in the blue bin, it does not get recycled. It goes into a landfill at this point. Most of our recycling centers have closed. And one of my questions is, why in the 21st century, when we're sending people like Jeff Bezos and all these goofballs, instead of helping the planet, they're shooting themselves out into space. And we have all this amazing technology, now self-driving cars, that we don't have recycling centers that are turning our waste into products. Park benches, ironing boards, irons, umbrellas, Zoom, everything. Instead of plastic, we make it out of our waste. Now it is possible, but once again, we're thwarted by the fossil fuel industry. So that's another thing. Yes, those things end up in the landfill, and we need to stop it. And we need, those are the things leaders can do. We also need more green tech, which will create green jobs. Like, why isn't LA one of the thriving green metropolises here? And I don't know, because, I do know, because we don't have political will. We don't have the leaders. A lot of them get paid off. I mean, old backroom politics still in the 21st century. They're getting paid off by the developers and by fossil fuel. So that is what we need to stop. So we have all of our products that are actually being recycled, not dumped in landfills, which end up ultimately in our oceans, that are killing our mammals there and destroying life as we know it. So it's really imperative that we get on and get people voted in who are doing this work.
Yeah, absolutely. let's see. You mentioned recycling. I just moved to a new city and we don't have recycling bins. And I'm in a rental. And she said, oh, no, you just put everything in and then somebody goes through it later. And I'm like, really? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Somebody really does that?
I know it's probably not true. Oh, and you know what? I'm sure whoever's out watching in LA, we also compost here now. Nobody ever said a word. Most people don't even know. You can put your compost, and you can Google this too. What do I compost? Like I've been composting all my fruits and vegetables, or the skin of the avocado, the seed, and you can put it in your green bin now with your vegetation. So that's actually a good thing. They passed that in January. Nobody knows about it. Because we don't have a mayor who's out there. Like if I was a political leader, I'd be out there all the time talking to the people. I'd have town halls so all the people know, oh, we have composting now. How do we do that? Okay, let's have a town hall and let's learn how to do that, in our schools, at our places of worship, wherever. Leaders are out there telling the people what's going on. So yeah, we have composting, but we do not have recycling. And yes, AJ, I'm sure they're not doing that. And here the governor, right? Our governor right in Sacramento, our capital should be green.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. It's just so hard to completely avoid plastics,
I know. You know what? I try. Well, I do. I don't have any plastic. I don't buy plastic bottles. And there's a great company called Life Without Plastic. You can go on their website. They have everything. Life Without Plastic. They have, instead of baggies, they have things. Oh, and there's another one, a company, and these are family owned. There's a gentleman named Steve. Family-owned business in Oregon, Oregon or Washington. It's called ETEE, and they are all plastic-free. Like I don't buy toothpaste anymore in tubes. I get it from a company that sends me little bites, and I have a glass container that I just pour it in. It's all compostable material. My deodorant, I don't use the plastic. I just have a container and they send me refills. I don't buy plastic water bottles. I use only glass. And then I have a clean canteen. You can also go to various stores, co-ops. They have the big machines with filter. You can get like filtered water for really inexpensive, and a lot of it. And that's what I was doing, bringing that to all the political events and asking people. So we have to create a new language. Like I was talking to a candidate yesterday, and I said, you have to run a green and regenerative campaign to lead the way on this and create a new language. So everybody brings their green, clean canteen to events, and we have hydration stations, and we fill those up rather than grabbing after the plastic bottles. So yeah, but I do know, yes, like I try, but like my milk, my vegan oat milk comes in plastic container. And what I can't figure out, the next step, Chef AJ, and maybe we can even contact some of these or the viewers, are vegan food products. Like what they come up with a great vegan food product, but still package it in plastic. Like why aren't they coming up with a compostable non-plastic container? Doesn't make sense. So that we're doing exactly, we take the vegan food, put it in a fossil fuel, something made from oil and gas. It doesn't push us further on. And I mean, Beyond Meat, Ethan Brown, who I worked for, actually, I taught yoga and meditation to his team. I mean, it's a great product, but it's all in plastic. Impossible Foods, all in plastic. Just eggs, I mean, it's crazy. I don't know why they don't. They come up with these great products, put them in these old backward containers.
So, yeah, absolutely. Wow. Well, this is very eye-opening. I feel like it's just hard to get people to do some of this stuff. I've had a lot of people on the show talking about the environment and plastics, and it seems harder than just getting them to sometimes eat vegan.
Well, I know I don't know. I just feel like, oh my gosh, first of all, I love challenge and I love change. And I want to grow while I'm on this earth. I want to grow and change as much as I can. And if I can do it for the greater good of all of you, I will do it. And I won't use plastic because it's killing us and it's killing the planet. And ultimately, then it kills all of us. So it's no longer something. There will come a point, if hopefully we survive in the next, we're going to have major climate collapses, which we already are, but we're significant in the next 10 years if we do not do things where you're not going to be able to leave your house in the summers. There'll be blackouts, rolling blackouts constantly because the electrical, food shortages, water shortages. So, and not to be, but that is the truth. And that's what we need to hear. And if that doesn't move you into change, but there is also something about the humans are and I read this and we talked about this at a candidates forum, actually. Human beings, like when we see a baseball or a rock coming towards us, right? Our mind, we know to duck and protect ourselves. That's part of the way our brain was created. It's not created to get afraid of something that we can't see. And some of the climate collapse we can't see. So we're like, and we're wait until we see it. And we're like, oh my gosh, holy crap. So, but some of us can see it. I can. And that's, I think, just some differences of humans, right? Some of us are whatever. It's neither bad nor good. And it's never a judgment because, like I said, I used plastic. I was a consumer. I ate meat and dairy. I was one of the worst. I had no idea about recycling, climate. And I just know, though, that once you make a decision to change, you can. And I gave you, you can always contact me and Chef AJ, get more information. Go to A Life Without Plastics, go to et.com, and also support green companies. That will help us too. And if you're vegan already, but still using all the products, ask your vegan companies. I call them. I've called Tofurky and Impossible Foods and ask them, hey, don't put it in plastic anymore. It's crazy. But it's possible. The beautiful thing, the beautiful message is we can change. We have all of the things to do so. Now we just need political will, people will, and we need to help people, planet, and animals for the greater good of all.
That's right. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Molly.
Thank you.
And if somebody wants to connect with you or follow you, are you active on any of the socials?
Oh my gosh, yes. Okay. I have mollybasler.com. My cookbook is up there if you want to try that out, the Yogini Linguini Vegan Chef. I actually am coming up with another cookbook called Mom Goes Vegan, where I'm taking all my mom old recipes and converting them to vegan recipes. So that will be out soon. And so mollybasler.com. And then my social, like on Twitter, is Molly M. Basler, or you can click in Molly Basler and all my things always come up. It's either Molly M. Basler or Molly LA 2022, which are all still current. They're just not part of the campaign deal because, like I said, I did close the campaign, but my social media is still up. And you can always go to Molly Basler and at greendreamcampaign.com and send me an email and I can send you the information. And you can go to, I also have a podcast. I forgot about that. I started a podcast in the pandemic and it's greendreampodcast.com. So I'm just trying to get my voice out there to help make change. But yes, you can reach me on all those platforms, and the greendreamcampaign.com is a website. It has resources. You can click on that and you'll find all the resources, the organizations, the companies I spoke about, Life Without Plastic and so forth. So, and it will tell you exactly what you need to know. It's easy, it's user-friendly. Let's do this. Together we can.
Thank you so much, Molly. It was a pleasure seeing your
Thank you.
presentation. My pleasure. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ. Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow when my guest is Nava Atlas. We'll be talking about her new book. Take